Dr. Ho-Kashyap is a Professor Emeritus of Electrical and Computer Engineering at Purdue University, Indiana, USA. He is a Gordan McKay Prize Fellow from Harvard University. His doctoral work, Ho-Kashyap Algorithms, and his research in transaction on pattern analysis and machine intelligence are very famous, and which has already got a place in physics and engineering textbooks. He was born and educated in India for 25 years, then spent 35 years in USA in research and teaching. After coming back to India in 1997, he is doing research in Veda and contemplating on essence of Veda. Dr. Kashyap has now come out with a complete translation of all Veda Samhitas in 26 volumes. The spiritual interpretation of Vedic Mantra posed a big question on what actually meant by the group activity practiced by Hindus called Yaga and Yagna. Dr. Kashyap boldly makes his point and promote the idea of internal Yagna.
Today, I am answering the questions related to the topic of Yajna. All these questions were posed by Sunil. Yajna means basically a series of sacred actions done either by one person or several persons together, invoking the cosmic powers, also known as devas or gods. The method basically is to chant the mantras. Each mantra is from one of these four books mentioned earlier: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. A mantra is made up of several words, each of which is potent. Therefore, the entire verse was revealed to a Rishi when he was in a deep state of consciousness. And therefore, when we recite that mantra, it has the great power of invoking or calling the cosmic powers. And when we call them, they come to us because the relation between the cosmic powers and human beings, rishis, is like that of friends, or like that of father and son, or like brothers, and similar close relationship. I mentioned series of sacred actions. What do we mean by sacred? When I say this book is sacred or river is sacred, what I mean is that I am aware of its close connection to the Supreme Spirit which pervades everything. This is one of the important ideas of Veda. In this Supreme Spirit is simply called as Ekam, one, or Tad Ekam, that one. It has no specific name in the Veda. It is called Brahman in the Upanishad. The important point is this spirit pervades everything, living, non-living things, the bacteria to human beings, the rocks, the sand, the rivers, everything. Pervading example is just as when we put salt into a water, the saltiness, that is exactly like that, pervades. So in some sense, nothing else but the spirit. Therefore, when we become aware of the presence of the Spirit, then we think it is sacred. Therefore, note the idea. All of us are human beings. We are not aware, our awareness is not constant. Before, for example, good example is most of us, when we go to see the river Ganges, we feel it is a sacred river because we are reminded of its connection to the spirit, as in the stories of Shiva and others. But at the same time, we do throw things into the Ganges because then we are not aware of it. Therefore, first thing is, sacred means all the actions consisting in the yajna are sacred actions, which mean we are aware of the presence of the spirit. So repeating again, yajna is an important idea. It is mentioned in all the Veda 4 books. It is secret of sequence of sacred actions involving the chants of the mantras addressed to the cosmic powers. We pray that may the cosmic powers come near us, enter our subtle body, empower us so that we can go to greater heights in achieving our ideals and achieve more, shall we say, harmony, not only with ourselves but with our neighbors, with our community and everything else. It is the spread of the knowledge. This is the yajna. There are many different types of yajna. Broadly speaking, we can clarify them into two groups: the so-called outer yajna or bahya yajna and the internal yajna. So this naturally leads to the second question posed by Sunil. Can you give more details of the outer yajna and the inner yajna? Basic ideas in the outer yajna is, it is performed by not one person. A large number is there. A basic patron and his wife is there. The wife is also very important person. And lot of spectators are there who are not mere spectators. They are all participants. There is this altar is there where the sacred fire is lit and offerings are made. Basically, they could be the twigs from some sacred trees, or they could be balls of the cooked rice, or they could be what we call as the grita or melted butter. The idea always is this melted butter is a product of cow. Cow in the Veda has the sacred idea. It's not simply a four-legged animal. It is very sacred. It simply gives us all the needed things, like Mother Nature. Therefore, that is the importance we use the grita. That is the external yajna. In the internal yajna, there is only one person. There are no things like offering the ghee or samit and that sort of thing. He imagines all of them. He imagines a fire coming from the inner recesses to the outer recesses. Sometimes they may keep a flame, keep a lamp burning. That is not always. So here, the mantras are chanted both in the outer yajna and the inner yajna. But in inner yajna, the only one person is there. Therefore, just as we call different gods such as Agni, Indra, Vishnu, Surya, similarly also We call these gods eternally. This is the internal yajna, also called as antaryajna. In both of them, the benefits are not only for the person doing it. In both the outer yajna and the inner yajna, we mention all the needed things, needed not only by us, but our neighbors or people who may be far physically distant from each other. So that is the importance of the yajna. Some of you may say is an internal yajna similar to meditation. You see, meditation is a broad word. There are thousands and thousands of meditation types are there. In some of the meditational practices, absolute silence is required. That is not in internal yajna. In internal yajna, we chant the mantras that is there. So, there's a difference is there. So, both the yajna, internal, outer yajna, the goal is same. What is the goal? Invoking or calling the cosmic powers to come here and make their home within us. Not only we, the persons performing, all the persons who are gathered in the yajna and our friends whom we can name, so that we become empowered and we can do our tasks much better with higher degree of concentration and also great liberality. We can think of the welfare of all people. That is the outer and inner. Our good friend Sunil will keep asking the word, who coined the word internal yajna? Do all the Vedas support it? My answer is, not only all the Veda, 4 Vedas, but Upanishad also supports the idea of the internal yajna. Therefore, it basically speaks of, the correspondence between the outer yajna, the person is there and his wife is there. What are the corresponding things in inner yajna, and all these things are there. But the word inter yajna is used very times, but it has become, shall we say, popularized by the works of Sri Aurobindo and Kapali Shastriya. Sri Aurobindo wrote the famous book, The Secret of the Veda. Kapali Shastriya was the first person who wrote a detailed commentary on the first 1,400 mantras of Rigveda. Note that Rigveda has about 10,500 mantras. He was the first person to show all these verses, or 2 or 3 verses taken together, had give a special insight or a secret, and that is the performance of the inner yajna, so that the gods manifest. Sunil raises an interesting question. Why do we have to have the 2 different types of yajna? I must tell that, I said 2 broad types of yajna. Each type has so many different types of yajnas also. So we are not really speaking of the 2, but many. But this question is interesting. See, Veda people understood, for example, India right today, we are something like 1,200 million, let us say, of them Hindus are, let us say, 900 to 1,000 million in some sense, large population. Each one of us is very unique. We are all different, each one have our own. Even facially we are different, our thoughts are different. Therefore, Vedic people understood no single cult or method of worship will satisfy all people. They said Individuality speaking, each person prefers a particular type of yajna. As I told you, it is not one yajna, and sort of many other yajnas are there. I will give an example of it in some sense. Therefore, the reason so Hindus being always broad-minded, we don't force down one particular idea about anybody's throat. There is so many different variations are there. So it is for that reason we have so many methods of meditation, so many methods of yajna and other things. One point about the outer and inner yajna is interesting. Normally in the internal yajna, as I told you, you imagine a flame rising, what we call, from the Mooladhara chakra and rising up to our head, as it were. And all the light of the Devas is pictured within the light of the Soma, the light of Agni, the light of Indra. But this flame is basically a single line of light, as it were. For example, if you read our Buddha's books on meditation, he says, your mind should be like a lamp within a jar. Just as when you put a lamp inside the jar, the light doesn't flicker. But in the Veda, when we have the sacrificial flame, we put so many different fagots and that sort of thing. There is a big flame with so many different flames, as it were. Therefore, the idea always is the single idea of the flame mentioned earlier, line of fire, is like the tat ekam. But this Agni with so many different flames represents so many different powers, as it were. Therefore we see the flames flickering. That represents dynamical actions performed by so many different human beings in so many different ways. Therefore focus of outer yajna is definitely the community, where we have different people, we have different our professions are different, but all of us are determined towards achieving the higher goals. What is it? Prosperity for all, contentment and peace for all. That is this, not only for me, but for all people. We want to help. It's not that you live, that's not the idea. You help others also to live prosperously, not simply allow them to live. So the idea is the outer yajna focuses on the community, as it were. Internal yajna on one person. So automatically in the outer yajna, there is what we call symbiosis. The different energies of the different spectators and performers. Each one uses his own particular aspiration. They combine together. They become a big power. And as Vivekananda puts it, all of them in some sense put their pressure on all the people. Therefore in the internal yajna there is one person. Here all these different powers come together. Then they join together, and like the so-called boomerang, they put their pressure on all of them. Therefore, in some sense, each person gets the benefit of the aspiration of all other persons also. So that is the importance of the outer yajna. Our good friend Sunil is aware of a particular yajna called as Soma Yaga. Recently in Kerala, in 2014, one such yajna was done. Therefore, he is asking in some details of that. Remember, in the Veda, when we ask the question, how did the world come about? Veda says the world came about because of the delight. The whole world is an expression of the delight. In the Veda, the delight is expressed by the deity called as Soma. He is identified also with the moon, who gives us all his joy and that sort of thing. The more important idea is Soma happens also to be a herb which is extensively used in Ayurveda medicine also. They crush the herb and the juice is used in the medicinal purposes. But in the outer Soma Yaga, what they do is they crush this yajna, this herb, and pour this into a vessel and light it with a fire, and there's a big burst of flame, and that is one of the key ideas of Soma Yaga. So our Sunil asked this question, what is the counterpart? Veda, in Soma in the Veda, as I told you, is connected with the delight. Whenever we do any work, writing, reading, sculpting, walking, then if you do it with awareness, I mentioned earlier, of the Supreme Spirit, then joy comes out of our work basically. It drips, as it were. That is what is known as the joy of the work. Therefore, we can imagine all of this also within ourselves also. And then we offer it. What do? We understand this joy is not our product. It is the power of the cosmic powers. Therefore, what do? We say, hey, it doesn't belong to me. The world is na mama, not mine. Therefore, I say I offer it back to the great gods like Indra. Therefore, I use the word swaha. Swaha means I am giving without any reservation. I am gladly giving it. Therefore, what does Indra do? Indra empowers our inner being and takes us to higher levels of working, higher levels of consciousness. In the course we become, shall we say, we climb more and more steps towards all-sided perfection. The sixth question posed by our good friend Sunil is about the Sandhya mantras. Many orthodox persons or even ordinary persons recite a set of mantras either at the morning or in the evening. And so usually, for example, there is the idea of we invoke the power of the waters, apaha. Then what do? We invoke other gods. Mainly, we address these mantras, the famous Gayatri Mantra, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Iyo Yona Prachodayat. And then we address it, and then of course other mantras are also there. You see, we can recite all these Sandhya mantras, something like 50, within ourselves. Just like in Yajna, all of them, they constitute a mini Yajna, in internal Yajna. You may say, but why do people outside, if you see, they will take water from a cup, sprinkle, or they will take water from that, take in a sort of small sip, they call it achamana and that sort of thing. The answer is these tasks have their own symbolic interpretation, but I won't go into it. The most simple reason is, in the Vedic times, the person starting this Sandhya Vandana practice after his what we call the Upanayanam stage is a very young person, maybe 4 or 5. His abstract ideas would not have developed. Therefore, when we tell him apaha, the waters, means the currents of the psychic energy flowing down from the heavens, he may not appreciate it. So what do? we basically take the ordinary water as a symbol of this heavenly waters, and then we sprinkle ourselves with a few fingers on our head. So just as symbolically in Untitled Yajna, we feel the non-physical cosmic energy is pouring on us. So in this way, he will be sprinkling the water upon them. Therefore, at each stage, when we pray to Surya during this, using the Gayatri Mantra, what is our basic prayer? Basic prayer is Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhimahi means to hold on to a thought. What should we hold on? Devasya Bhargaha. Deva is our God, deity. Bharga is the splendor. So what does it mean? When I am walking in the garden before doing all this, I will see very, very little flowers, 1 millimeter flowers, 2 millimeter flowers, big leaves, small leaves. Therefore, there is so much variety in nature, and that gives me great happiness. That is the splendor of nature, the infinite variety. So it is, Milton says, multitudinous ways. And that is the idea of the Bharga. Therefore, we go to sunshine, we go to a falls, that is Bharga. Therefore, we understand the God's glory manifests in so many different ways. The next month part is Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Therefore, that powerful deity, may he awaken our thoughts so that we may do all our actions with more and more consciousness, becoming in some sense aware of the level of perfection. Yajurveda is one focuses on these Yaga mantras that are used in the Yaga. Please understand, none of the 4 methods is actual detail of how to do. Hey, put this particular summit into the fire, put this. No such details are there. They are not even in what is called as Grihya Sutras. Basically, the more details are, each person has a family of priests. It is basically held as a notes among them. Very important idea. Veda mantras are used in Yajna, but Vedas do not at any stage give us how to perform the Yajna. It doesn't say there are 4 priests and all that sort of thing. That is a much later period. It comes in the Brahmana. But the details of for that reason varies from family to family. Therefore, it is not a fixed formula at all. It is not a routine. It varies. Therefore, you go to the same Yaga performed in one place in Kerala, go to Maharashtra, clearly it will be different because their particular teachers, being always creative people, they would introduce a little bit variations. The choice of the mantras they will use, all such possibilities are there. Darsha Purnimasa. Purnimasa is new moon. Darsha is seeing the new moon. Therefore, there is a practice of worshipping the new moon. But, normally it is done in the morning itself for various reasons. Therefore, what do? As usual, we light a fire and we chant various mantras associated with the beginning of the dawn. Before the sun comes, the dawn comes, and all of these things are there. And of course, we have the Soma also, because it is a one-day affair. It is a half-a-day affair, really. We begin at around 6 a.m. and will be done by 9 a.m. So it is a frequent half-a-day affair. Therefore, it is the first one which is done in the Veda Samhitas. That is the Darsha Purnimasa. And then Agnishtoma is a little different, This Agnishtoma is where the Agni is invoked by various Stoma mantras. Stoma mantra means normally each mantra is there. You take 3 mantras, A, B, C. You consider all combinations. A, B, it's order. First A, B, C. A, C, B. B, C, A. And the entire thing will called as a stoma. Therefore, in this yajna, they use the Agni. Well, of course, Agni is deity. They use many of these mantra, Agni stoma. And of course, you mentioned things like Vajapeya. You mentioned big yajna called Vajapeya. Vaja means plenty and plenty of everything. That is the idea. You want plenty of knowledge, plenty of resources, and for all people. So Vajapeya is a yajna where all the people involved are they pray for Vajapeya. Ashwamedha is not simply killing a horse, no. Ashwa means life energy. Therefore, Ashwamedha is done when a king wants to develop inner powers so that he can govern the people better. That is this idea. Only a king who has not only the physical powers but also the mental powers. That is Ashwamedha. Like this, so many different yajnas are there. So this is, again he is Yajna is imaged as a bird, and its journey is beautifully described in the Veda Samhitas, 4th Kanda, 1st Anuvaka, 10th Anuvaka, 14th Mantra. You are a bird of golden wings, Suparna, capable of going up to the higher realms and modeling it. Your head is threefold, words of matter, life and mind. Your eyes are Gayatra, all the hymns which have the power of saving. Your wings are the Brihat and the Rasantara Sama. Your soul is the Stoma. Your organs are the rhythms of matters. It goes on and on like that. This is a very important idea. So, remember what do we do in Yajna? We first invite Agni, then we invite God after God. Agni is not simply the power of combustion, not power of the heat. He is also the God. Remember what is combustion? It's very, very difficult thing. How, for example, we know in science how the combustion power becomes power of movement. That's our steam engine and that sort of thing. Therefore, Agni has so many different facets. At the psychological level, he is the power of will, Kratu. So similarly, Indra is the Lord of the divine mind. So whatever we do, remember one of the purposes of mind is to do actions perfectly. Nowadays you know of the things like Purdue charts and that sort of thing at a much higher level. How to plan things. Or Mitra is the Lord of the love. Varuna, Lord of the vastness. And Soma, of course, is the enjoyment which you derive from work. Therefore, when we recite a mantra, we have a particular experience. Then, when we recite another mantra, Indra mantra, different experience. And if what this our yajna does is, see, all of us have heard the word pilgrimage. What is pilgrimage? You go to a particular site, we go to let us say Tirupati we go, and then we have their vision. Then we travel, what do? To Sri Shaila, to have a vision of the Shiva. Then we go to a Devi Sukta, then vision of the Devi. Therefore it is a journey, just as in a pilgrimage we make a journey. When we recite mantra after mantra, we are getting different experiences. Therefore this is called yajna. Therefore yajna, it says, is a journey. So whenever you think of a journey, you think of a bird, because something has to go. So imagine yajna itself as a bird of golden wings. So what should we do? We have to become more and more aware. Therefore it is called as going up. And what does it do then? You see what is the yajna is moving. Therefore, remember, so we are made up of the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha. Therefore, it has these three worlds. Therefore, when we go to a experience, it's not simply a physical experience. Our emotions also, for example, you may go there, thinking somebody has done us some bad things, then we should be cleared of that. Therefore, world of matter, the world of life and mind. And then, what is the purpose of yajna? Therefore, broaden our eyesight. Therefore, the two eyes of this bird are like the Gayatri hymns. Like that, it develops this analogy of the yajna as a moving bird. Just as we human beings develop experience after experience, the pilgrimage. That is the example of this one. It is a long one. We iterate this idea.
What is the methodology for doing it, sir? Methodology for doing
My
it.
simple method is to sit little comfortably in a chair and that sort of thing. You first of all utter these mantras. Imagine you are in connection with the supreme power, the Surya, for example, who gives everything. We give a thanks for how our life is completely given, where in all act we do only 99%. We first of all thank all the great sages of the olden days, modern days. And first what we do, we utter the mantras for Agni. Oh Agni, come, manifest my body, develop my willpower. Then I utter a few mantras for Indra, depending upon your choice, and depending upon Mitra, or depending upon Aditya or Saraswati, that's your choice. At the end, what about the Sarve Bhavanaha Sukhino Bhavantu? Let all people be happy. And I want that, O Lord, just as I am reciting, let the power manifest in all of them also. Not only in me, I am praying, but I want it to manifest in me, and that's it. So you can do it any place. You control the deities how many times you want, and that sort of thing. It's a simple method.
Okay. Then why don't you write a book for methodology?
I am writing a book, thank you.
Ah.
It takes time, but I am writing a book.
Okay. Okay.
All of these ideas are there. Then I will do steps of internal yajna.
Steps in.
That is a chapter.
Yeah.
The steps.
Ah.
Yeah. It will be done.
And what is the difference between a Vedic mantra and other mantras?
Vedic mantra, as I told you, was revealed to a rishi who practiced so many years of concentration. Therefore, it was revealed to him, therefore it has that power. No power is wasted. Therefore, that power manifests. Supreme God gives the power. Therefore, it has the power that when I recite that mantra, I am reciting that power also that comes into me. Ordinary stotras, for example, they take our Saraswati. Popular mantra is the Pavakana Saraswati, and many of my friends have been benefited by it. But take an ordinary shloka we have, Yakundendu Tushara Haradavada or Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmir Puravasini. So these mantras simply were created by some good pandits, that's all. Therefore, they don't have that power within them. They may have some devotion. Therefore, if you don't have anything, better to do Namaste Sharada Devi. So, but when you have little power, use the Vedic mantras. That is this idea. Therefore, the point is, the verse we recite, it depends upon who is the source of the mantra. Is it ordinary pandit or ordinary saint, or it is a higher level saint like a Rishi. Therefore, even there are no mantras like the Veda mantras in later literature. We don't have it. That is the reason we should all be thankful for people who have preserved those mantras. Nothing like that. I have read so many books, So later tantric mantras came. The I am, him. They are also very useful. No doubt about it. Nothing like the Veda mantra. That's the reason people like Ganapati Muni, they invoke the tantric goddesses by means of Vedic mantras. That is the idea.
whether the Tantra and Veda, is it two different stream or same stream?
You see, always, like everything, it's like asking, is physics and chemistry different? Not quite. They are all interconnected. That's the same idea. So they focus on little different things, that's all. Finished? Thank you, sir. Thank you.